We adjourned from at 6:57. We did take action in closed session. The board moved to approve a final settlement agreement and release of all claims involving a former student versus Mesa Union on case number 2023080026. The motion was approved. At this time, we'll go ahead and do the Pledge of Allegiance. Let me go ahead and stand. Can I get one of the students to lead the Pledge of Allegiance? Let's see, who wants to do it? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I so move.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries 4-0. No opposition. We don't have an audience other than the guests, correct? All right. Moving on to the superintendent's report.
All right, good evening, board. Good evening, members of the community. Thank you all for being here. It's nice to have an audience in person. We tend to have a small audience on Zoom. But I'm going to go ahead and move my superintendent's report around just a bit. I'd actually like to begin with our student presentations first, because I know that there's people here who are probably interested in making their way as soon as possible. So I want to start there, and then I'd like to be able to move quickly into honoring one of our own during Mesa Moments. So we're going to go ahead and get started with our student presentations on PALI, on overnight camps that have happened recently for 6th and 7th grade. And do we want to start with PALI? All right. All right, kiddos, if you could maybe just introduce yourselves and maybe just let us know who you are and then continue with your presentation.
My name is Stephen Romero. My name is Jonathan Ellis. At Pali Institute, we got the opportunity to learn beyond classroom walls. Pali Institute is located at the program for educational experience. Pali is located near California Lake Arrowhead in San Bernardino Mountains. During our field trip, we were able to experience learning from home. So in this we started learning about this is one of the activities they taught Forest and One. In Forest College, we learned how to identify the different types of triangles, different types of triangles, different types of shapes, and what qualities identify them as if you do not want to them, you're in the other schools, you could go to the late school. And you can go to the security. Other activities that we can do at the archery range, we learn how to shoot a bow and arrow after taking the part of it. And so that's one thing you were able to do at Poly that you can do and some of your friends or some of your peers have never done. Yeah. Did you go back? Yeah. For how many days? Is there something that you learned there that maybe you touched on in the classroom that you didn't really understand until you went? Feel like the time you went through that experience, you rose and you reached the initial feeling of and we all need to I know that there was about 6 of you in one cabin. What was that, being with your friends in one cabin? What did you guys think about that? I thought it was really fun because I'm feeling how it's kind of this was so really really on high school, and we also feeling like great feeling and happy. Thank you so much.
Right, and next, I'd like to welcome as we send off our Pali group, I'd like to invite our CME group, our 7th grade group. And girls, if you can start by introducing yourself, and then continue with the presentation.
My name is Alexa. I'm here. We're 7th graders that experienced Cali Island Learning Institute. Today that we met from through October 1st of 2020. This is what Ms. Smith was about. Why is this experience valuable? We explored oceanography and marine biology concepts. We get field experience used to scientists use to collect data. We make connections with classmates, teachers, and English. Lab. These are a couple labs that we did. We did the shark ray lab, which is right here. We also did the invertebrate lab, the pink lab, the algae lab, and all the lab of the innovation. The lab that I personally loved the most was the shark. Why I love this one the most is because I was able to touch leopard shark and ray that I would probably use. This is about colors. I had a very fun experience because I was happy with the teacher. Something that surprised me about something is the opposite language and math about. And we stand with the And we also, some of us have the chance to go on the next snowfall. I really like the next snowfall because we got to see islands and different places that we regularly see in the vacation. And you can see like different nocturnal animals come out when you get in the daylight. And then right there is Mr. Maria diving down to go bring up an octopus for a lot of us probably had to do connections that we made with our classmates teachers. The connections that I made with my classmates were I experienced is really good. What the connections that I made with classmates of WordPress is the next type was an actual type with a bunch of rocks and branches sticking out. So it was really fun to see the classmates going, oh, there's a branch here, or be careful with here, or to the side. So make sure that we don't fall, or if anyone did the question, to make sure that we finish. And then connection that we did to was I found out this is introductive, and the instructors made me feel very comfortable and very clear about the we can into our experience in connection. So you go to college? Yeah. Well, how much different was this experience from your experience? The difference between this experience, Hallie was more of they're kind of the same. The difference between seeing is basically learning about the ocean than in Hallie. Hallie, we didn't really learn about ocean animals. We learned about like deers and chocolate, but we didn't really were able to see this in the water. How we found it and how we were able to experience it. Do you think the non-smoking before this? So we mostly everything was high, they were all there, they were very, and then once we got in, we were all into the world. A little bit, because like, start. That's what you do something.
I heard it was really hard.
And then he was sitting out with them, they're all. You guys have fun? Yes. Would you go again? Yes. Thank you so much.
So I really don't have much to add except to say, thank you and my gratitude to the families and the parents who are here accompanying and helping us share with all of you a little bit of the experience that our kids had as an entire cohort. These are very unique experiences. I say that because within public schools, they happen more, as wonderful as they happen very rarely, and not as many students get the opportunity to experience them. And the reason I bring that forward is that, these experiences, we hear about them. I've heard about them certainly being memorable for the years that I've been at Mesa and just having had experience in these opportunities. But they don't come together easily. And they're really put together by very caring individuals, and some of whom are here. 3 of the 4 that I wanted to really highlight are here. So if you could do me a favor, Mr. DiMaria, Ms. Davis and Mrs. Spillane, if you could just stand for a quick moment. I really want to. I really want to highlight your efforts, and Mrs. Robertson isn't here, but I really want to highlight all 4 of their efforts, respectively for 6th and 7th, because there's a lot of organization, there's a lot of information, a lot of communication, logistics, you name it, that goes on for weeks, if not months. Well, it is months because the coordination of dates and everything else in between happens so that these kids can come here and share their wonderful experiences, so that families can feel comfortable sending their kids away from them for an extended period. And I just really do want to thank them for their sacrifice, for their effort, and for just year after year being so willing and gracious to take of their time and effort. So thank you. Thank you. And on that note, I'm just gonna skip around and I want to go into our Mesa moments. There's another person here that is a very special person that I want to highlight. And I wanted to let me speak to this first, and then I'll have him come up. I really want to highlight Ralph Gonzalez, who is here with us and with his family. I can't say enough good things about Ralph. Ralph has long standing ties to Mesa, long standing. And I really want to highlight, I can go on and on about the number of things just in the time that I've been here that he's done for us and that many people don't know, wouldn't know about, whether it's creating entire celebrations or helping decorate the school at different times in the year, especially during the start of the year. The cakewalk. And then this year, I really wanted to highlight the fact that that Gaga Ball pit that's out there, you know, it was his talent and effort that remade it. And we still owe it a paint job, but he made it happen. And when I reached out to him, he said, sure, you know, whatever I can do, I'll come out, and he helped us out. And he's just always been that way around things big and small. And then just on top of that, just being a very engaged parent and engaged member of our community, very caring. And I think he exemplifies so much of what Mesa is, that quiet commitment, that passion for this place, but also for the people within it. And I just wanted to recognize Ralph in this fashion. Thank you for service and dedication to Mesa Union School District, November 2023. So if you could come up. Thank you. And just again, that example, Ralph, like so many of our volunteers, just does it quietly, just does it because it's the right thing to do, and does it really well, and just serves in all sorts of ways that are incredibly important to us. So thank you again. Thank you to your family. Thank you to all of you. Thank you, well deserved, and just a small recognition on our behalf. Yeah, yes, you can certainly go. I would love for you to stay though, but it's okay. All right, so I'm going to make the rest of my report very brief, but I just wanted to highlight a couple of events. This gives me an opportunity to thank, so many of our trustees and community who were here for our PFO Carnival. Just a great event. We changed it this year from the spring back to its original placement in the fall, and it was very well attended. A lot of lessons learned, a lot of great opportunities to build community, and we hope to just continue to make that an annual event as it's been, and continue to make it better and better, every year. I already mentioned just recently, the kids just, came back very, very recently from Pali, and it was a really great opportunity, as the kids mentioned. Moving into learning engagement, I just want to highlight that we continue the work of our Mesa scorecard. We'll be meeting for a third time with our school leadership team to craft some of the parameters around it. and to start looking at ways to be able to measure our success and measure the areas of our school culture that we want to continue to focus upon. So if you, more information will come to you come December and January, but we're really excited. I'm excited because it'll also help us in this next iteration of our LCAP. I think what's going to help us better define our framework and also highlight the things that we're already doing well and start imagining what things we need to onboard in the near future. We continue to go on this 4-quarter plan. Right now, we are getting close to finalizing our cycle 1. That'll happen at the end of November. Right now, teachers are meeting throughout this week with parents and families to talk about their kids' progress. And so, we hope to have more information available to us to discuss where we are with things in the near future, right after the break. Attendance. On the attendance front, as the board is aware, we're trying to strive for that 95% and above. That is a target of ours. And this past month of October, we did much better. We're not yet where we would ultimately like to be, but some of the numbers and the attendance figures are trending certainly in the positive direction. So you see there the breakdown month to month, and then our overall average from one month to the next. So 95 is kind of reestablishing a baseline for us, but we've made a lot of efforts behind the scenes to communicate and work with our families, and I'm very it's very pleasant for me to be able to report that we're getting that partnership in return. And then here's the figures just by way of bars. Next up, upcoming events. So we have our board meeting this evening. We also today, our Mesa Care campaign begins. That'll be running through December. And Parents Conference Week is this week. Next week is our fall Thanksgiving break. And then I'm very excited to report. I am in fact thrilled and elated to report that Mesa Union, for the first time in Mesa Union's history, right, Mr. DiMaria, will participate in the Camarillo Christmas Parade. And that's coming from the authority on all things Mesa. So no, very, very excited. I know that it's been called upon for the last couple of years by the board. And I'm very excited that, we've got our registration paid for. We've been talking about how to put our best foot forward and do it in a way that's manageable for all of us, but definitely showcase who we are. And so I'm very excited about that. I think it's going to give us an opportunity to reach parts of our community that maybe we haven't quite reached yet, but it'll just give us more than anything else an opportunity to showcase who we are and let everyone know the good work that we're doing here and who's a part of our community. So that'll be happening Saturday, December 9th. More information to come, but I just wanted to let the board know that that is something that is underway. And lastly, we have a small committee of volunteer staff members / parents that are going to be helping with ideas and how to bring that forward. So excited to continue to share good progress on that front. And with that, I'll be concluding my superintendent's report. Thank you.
I guess I just wanted to bring up something for next year's carnival. I know there was talks about it this year, but I really missed the dunk tank. So I'm going to keep bringing that up too, to try to see if we can bring it back. It's so much fun. And if it's not the dunk tank, it can be something else. But the idea of where the kids get to, do something where maybe like water falls on somebody sitting in a chair, or maybe they throw paint balloons, or I don't know what, but the idea of some engagement between staff and kids where they get to have fun together, because that's really what the dunk tank embodies. So whether it's the dunk tank or something else, the idea is that it's this fun memory, it's this fun
collaborative thing between staff and kids. And so I think we should, if we don't like the dunk tank itself, we should at least try to think of something else fun to do in that element, because carnival is so much fun, and I want to keep that fun and lively spirit, but also that community building spirit where it's not just playing games. It's seeing the staff members, it's seeing your teachers, it's seeing your principal, it's seeing your superintendent, it's seeing all these people that you know, and you're making memories with that community. So I just wanted to put that out there. I am excited about the Christmas parade, and I think that'll be fun. So you can count me in for being there. Whatever hat I need to wear, I will be wearing that.
Yeah, we're definitely having that discussion, float, no float. We're trying to make it safe and reasonable, but we've definitely got some ideas that we'll be sharing very near term.
Is a float going to be big enough for everybody?
Yeah, that's what we talked about is if we have a float, what that's going to look like, who would be on it. We're trying to incorporate basically some representation from all of the different things that happen here at Mesa, from athletics to clubs to our band, and showcase really parts of who we are. And more than anything else, we want to just have that look and appear very well-rounded. There's also a theme that is more of a Hollywood movie theme that we're trying to see if we can incorporate. There's been some preliminary ideas. So we put those out, handed some homework assignments, myself included. We're going to be generating some banners to talk about who we are and who we represent and where we are, because not everybody necessarily knows our location. So we just want to make sure that we, again, we put our best foot forward. And we also know that if this is the first time that it's been done either ever or in recent memory, we will only have more to build on in future years. So we just want to be very intentional with this one, and then go from there in the future.
Any further discussion? All right.
So please know that all of you have a standing invitation to either sit, stand somewhere and wave at us, or better yet, to join us for the actual march and as part of our group. Okay.
Thank you.
I will be there.
All right, moving forward, do we have any correspondence from board members? Okay. There's a Ventura County Office of Education letter relating to Mesa Union School District's unaudited actuals for the 2022-2023 fiscal year and submitted. And the superintendent submitted the report to the Ventura County Office of Education. So that was correspondence, correct? All right. Any board members' reports and communications? Board members' interest and concerns? None?
I guess I just had one thought for next year. And I don't know how this is going to land or if it's able to be done, but just a thought of the parent-teacher conference week where it's half days. Quite a few of the junior high students don't necessarily, participate in those conferences. But what I was wondering, and there's also no STEAM during this week. So I guess what I was wondering if next year we can look into still having a STEAM for the junior high program, for those kids to kind of stay, because they could be in the STEAM lab. So STEAM usually closes down because there's not available classrooms, but now we actually have that lab where the junior hires could be, and those kids aren't usually participating as much as all of the elementary. So I just wanted to put that idea out there, to just continue to expand our day, continue to let these kids have these opportunities where they get to build something fun, learn something fun, collaborate with their peers. And that might be a better audience that could still participate in that.
I have one other question or concern. We've taken a staff development day at the end of October near the Halloween holiday. This year it was kind of on Monday, Halloween was on Tuesday. Looking forward, in October of next year, the 31st is on a Thursday. So maybe if we could look at maybe that Friday the 1st after the Halloween, kind of put it together with that we have the staff development day, because I know my boys are usually a little rambunctious, and I think everybody's a little hopped up on candy, and having that day following Halloween might be a great teacher development day instead of the day before.
Especially if it falls on the Friday, the next day. So that would be a good exchange.
Just saying.
All right, anything further? Okay. Is there a motion to consent the agenda?
Make the motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I will second.
Any discussion? Go ahead. Did you have something to say, Jamie? I did want to mention, I understand that Ms. Hupp may be attending or will be attending the board conference in San Francisco. And I just know that there is a fee that she may be incurring, including her travel expenses. So if that does go forward, if that could also be submitted to the district for reimbursement. I don't think any other board member is attending other than her.
No, that's a conversation that we very lightly had, but that's certainly something that is, as I've mentioned to the board, customary for the district to help in terms of providing that avenue for ongoing growth. And Mrs. Romero and I have had this conversation that they do alternate, the CSBA conferences do, from one year to the other, from Northern California to Southern California. In 2024, it'll be hosted here in San Diego. My hope would be, and I want to kind of put that invitation out early, that that maybe a contingency could make it happen. I think it's a great opportunity to be able to both gather more information for all of you as board members, individually and collectively. And it's commonplace also for the superintendent to work through, because as a governance team, there are things that obviously impact all of us in our work on behalf of the district. So if there's an opportunity to make that happen in 2024, it happens just about the same time every year, December, late November. So if there's an opportunity for that to occur, that would be a wonderful way to also build community within and amongst the board members and as a governance team.
Yeah, I've never been to those conferences, Ms. Hupp, so when you come back, let us know how it was.
Absolutely.
And, excuse me?
Absolutely.
Yes, thank you.
Be interesting. Take good notes.
Cool.
All right. Moving on,
Can we take a break?
is there, no. Any further discussion? Nope. All right. All in favor? Motion carries 4-0. No opposition. Okay. Is there a motion to approve Mesa Union School District's board areas of focus? It's a draft, first draft, and I don't know.
So I make a motion to discuss the Mesa Union District Board areas of focus.
Second that motion.
Any discussion?
Do we need to vote on it to discuss it, or do we discuss it during now?
We can discuss it now.
So I if you don't mind, I just wanted to just provide an overview. For the last several months, we've talked about these broad areas of focus. These were derived and more or less agreed upon back in our summer retreat. Seems like long ago, but it was earlier this year. And what I went ahead and did was I brought over for the board's consideration some key actions within each one. As we talked about, the one caveat with all of this is some of these take a longer period of time to execute. But the idea was that they would allow the board to feel like there are areas of focus that the board can really stand behind, that are going to be meaningful and substantive to the work of the district and the core mission of educating kids well and to a high caliber. But as we know, there are other parts of district functions that also need attention. So you see the four areas of focus delineated there, and they are as follows: facilities modernization and the bond program, the implementation of Mesa Union framework for the future and learner profile, professional learning and training for Mesa staff, and engagement of community partners and partnerships. And again, you have some proposed goals and some key areas of some key actions derived there as well. So certainly would wish for the board's input and consensus and support for moving forward.
Go ahead.
I guess I was just gonna say, I like how we've captured the different types of ongoing projects and future projects that we've talked about in kind of these 4 different categories, because that's what we've been trying to do in terms of our goals at the district. And, you know, your goals as a superintendent is making sure that they line up and that we can properly put them in these different categories, because that also helps us with funding and other items as well, figuring out how we're going to fund these different type of initiatives. So I definitely like the different categories that we have going. They're the things that we have discussed in our past sessions and our special board meetings as well. On the individual bullets, most of them are things we have discussed as a group, but it's really helpful to see them together, and it's helpful to see them outlined with our high level goal and then what the actual key actions are that will help us, or that we think will help us get to that goal point. So I thought it was really helpful to see simplified in this way.
Yeah, and the idea behind this is, you know, in a 1 to 5 year time span, future boards, governance, superintendents, that kind of thing is very important to memorialize the things that are important. And by the way, it's a living document, right? Something to be revisited on an annual basis or however frequently the board wishes. But it certainly will, and already has been, the focal point of my attention, of my work, and accordingly, my communication. So anyhow, I appreciate that feedback. I actually particularly appreciate the fact that you don't see anything dramatically out of place and glaring. That's actually a very good thing, because it actually, in fact, should be consistent with prior conversations, priorities, and discussions. So I'm glad that you took that view as well.
You know, a couple comments. I mean, you've seen some of the things that we're talking about tonight and things that we always kind of bring up on a month to month. And we see a lot of these things. I mean, I already see some of them. We've been working on them. So like you said, you know, we're doing them. We're looking to see how we're going to continue to improve them and how things we're going to implement in the future. So it's nice to see that there's, like you said, we talked about this in our retreat, was, you know, what are our short term 1 to 3 and 5+ year kind of goals. So it's nice to see that. You know, I was going to ask Brianna to scroll down and look at the bottom ones there a little bit. And again, one of the things that we have been talking about, or the previous boards talked about too, was just that community engagement. And I think, you know, participating in the Christmas parade is fun, is you know, kind of a thing in that it really kind of gets us out there. So I think it's more than just, hey, we want to be in a parade. It actually gives us a presence in the community. So I think that's a really big thing. And I think, you know, some of our discussions regarding, you know, professional relationships with some of the professions and industries that we have in and around our school are really going to continue to, you know, make it so that, you know, that Mesa's unique in the fact that it is not just a school out in kind of the country there, but, you know, we're tied to our community here, and really to kind of keep those relationships growing. So I really like that. I really think that's important for the future of us, to kind of get those professional and community relationships strong too, in addition to our focus of educating the kids. But I really like that idea. And I think this captures everything that we had kind of talked about in that meeting pretty well.
You know, talking about relationships, I really love how mock trial has joined the Rubicon, which Mr. DeMaria is very familiar with. And Just last week, I was asked by the Rubicon to speak on their behalf as a parent for the county to provide them with a grant to outreach to schools. And I said a couple words, many others did as well. And the county, the Board of Supervisors did immediately allocate $250,000 to the Rubicon to be used immediately for schools. And they don't even have to file an application, which is great, because I believe that hopefully now that they have received some support, they will continue to support us in mock trial and other areas. So, I think that's important for us to build relationships with other professional companies, associations, and the Rubicon is probably or is the most professional theater company here in the county. And I really love their work. They do outstanding work, and we look forward to working with them. Going back to academics, I would also like to see some more information, or would want to know if our plan to bridge the gap and to increase our scoring, is it in any of these areas?
It's more or less in all of them, but in particular in the implementation of the framework. And what this will allow us to do is also line up very neatly with the LCAP. And the LCAP is really where we put all of our metrics, all of our future goals, our actions, and we really talk more thoroughly about where certain parts of our budget are allocated to try to address that very interest of increasing our achievement according to the metrics that we know are true for the entire state, right? Namely CASP. I know that for us as an elementary, it's just the reality, it's just where we are. But there are so many things that factor into that we want to just be comprehensive, and that's really the work of the LCAP.
I did see a 5% increase. Is that per grade, or is that, how are you putting that 5% interest?
We didn't necessarily delineate that. I took that to mean a holistic 5%, and certainly that's right now, given our more recent history, it seems ambitious. I'd like to think of a future where 5% is a basement and not a ceiling, or a floor, if you will. But right now, this is really overall. Certainly, we are striving for 5% as a grade level. I know that's mostly how teachers have interpreted that in my conversations with the staff. I think all of them are very much taking that to heart. So, the board can certainly weigh in on that now, but my understanding of it was that it was holistic.
I mean, that was my take as well. Because it depends on all these different ages, ranges, what's going on. But I think that's also why we kept our goal, is that it's to, implement this so that we can strive for that academic and personal success of all the students. And we didn't put in our area or district goals a specific percent. We do have goals in the LCAP, but those are different, and those are like us approving what we see based on the numbers as they come in. But our goal is the kid. Our goal is the whole child. And so I like that our district goals aren't a specific percent. It's just that we will manage and implement LCAP, focus and approve that. But, it's all the educators here. It's this whole community that will hopefully raise that percent by us focusing on giving, the staff the tools they need, and the kids hopefully some community and motivation too, so that it's fun, like Tally, like Sini, like making sure there's fun educational things and that it's not all books and texts.
Yeah, and one of the things that I will say though is that's where the scorecard will play a role. The scorecard will help round out part of what will be measured, because it's just a fact of life, is CASP. But we want to complement that with other parts of our program that are if not as important, certainly important in their own right. Attendance being one of them, and you see those month-to-month reports. percentage of students connected in activities or athletics, because that starts to represent connectedness to the culture and to the school. So a number of other factors that we've preliminarily talked about. Also represented is participation in visual and performing arts. That is something that is, that we've had some strengths in, but also some areas of growth to certainly pay attention to. So again, to your point about those metrics, they are very much a part of that conversation on the implementation of the framework, with the LCAP being the heavy plan to lift that and to articulate it, but also the scorecard being kind of a one-page document to represent the things that we're measuring.
I also want to make sure that the teachers have the tools and the resources that they need to help us reach this goal. So that's important too.
Yeah, and that can mean a lot of different things. That's an ongoing conversation with staff, certainly, about what that means. And it can mean everything from technology and hardware to supplies to a clean environment. I mean, the list goes on and on about what individuals are expressing a need for. And we certainly try to make strides in each one of those areas. But one specific thing is, we're asking our teachers to make, in some instances, a very natural shift, in other instances, a very difficult shift, depending on what's being called upon for that moment. And for that, we need to continue to invest in professional learning, positions that provide that, partnerships that provide that. And I think that's one component of, providing teachers and staff with what they need. And mind you, it's not just teachers, right? It's other staff, support staff, our front office staff, our bus drivers. I mean, everybody's got support that they need. So yes, at the front of that is teachers, because they work hand in hand with students. But beyond that, it's other staff that work in that support capacity.
Does the state provide for training or guidings or some type of workshop relating to like the CASP and the CAS for teachers?
Mostly on the mechanics of it, mostly on what the reports mean or what the assessment type looks like, but not on how to achieve better. That they leave to the local districts, right? And we have certainly made that a priority, and we have capitalized on things that have already demonstrated results and tried to bring them to everybody else. And we're very fortunate in that staff here, they want to learn from each other. They genuinely like each other, and they genuinely want to support each other. That's not always true of every staff, I'll be very honest with you, but it is here. And I think that goes a long way toward helping individuals learn from each other and maximize around the commonalities that are working with kids. So to answer your question, no, not specifically to this is how you will improve. They mostly leave that to the districts. They mostly focus on, here's what the test looks like, here's how you get on the test, here's how you take it, all the mechanics of it, which are important, but sometimes not the most important driver.
So is there a motion, anything further?
Well, yeah, I had one other thing. I mean, this is a great document for all of us, is can we put this out to the rest of our community so they can see it, kind of see what the board is thinking about, not only to our parents, but all our staff here. And if there's a way to either elicit any comments by email or something, to kind of see what the community's thoughts on what we think our goals are and what their goals might be. So we have kind of a little bit of a conversation, at least they can kind of comment on it. So I think it'd be great if we agree on this as a draft to kind of put forward, but then we can kind of put it out there, either post it or, send it out in like the Mesa Matters or something like that.
Yeah, we can certainly put it out there. I mean, and this was another reason why having this be a discussion made sense. I'm not necessarily in a rush to ask the board to adopt it per se, mostly because this is the work that we're doing anyway. But this is a way to just capture it all in one place, if you will. And so the idea of putting it out to staff and the parents makes a lot of sense, and see what comes back.
As long as my fellow board members are okay with that.
This is public information. It's already posted in the agenda. There is a link to this document already that exists.
Just making sure everybody's okay with it.
I think what Dr. Camby is trying to say is you want it to be more known. I mean, so that more parents are more fully aware. And I agree, I support that. I perhaps we can send it via kind of like a Google form, and then the parents can respond with some written input if that is something that,
Or in the Mesa Matters, a link to like a comment section where they can click on that when they get their digital copy of Mesa Matters. They can put comments there, questions, concerns, and we can sort through that.
Now, there's a couple of ways that we can get some interest if that's where parents are. So we'll work on that.
anything further? All right, so the motion is to approve a draft.
No, it was, no, it was not. It was
It's to discuss. Okay, all right. So this is a discussion item.
Correct.
And then moving on, is there a motion for the consideration of approval of the 2023-2024 Transportation Services Agreement with the Ventura County Office of Education?
I'll make a motion for make a consideration of approval of the 2023-2024 Transportation Services Agreement with the Ventura County Office of Education.
Second.
Any discussion?
I just wanted to check that there would be sufficient funds, as the scope or the proposal is for 6 students, and I believe we have just above that. So I just wanted to make sure that that's the sufficient fund.
Yes, we have 7 students actually, so I'll have to double check on that figure.
Anything further? Any further discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0, no opposition. Is there a motion for the consideration of approval of the memorandum of understanding with CalPAS, which is Partnership for Achievement Student Success?
I'll make a
So-
motion for the consideration of the approval of the memorandum of understanding with CalPAS Partnership for Achieving Student Success.
I will second.
Any discussion?
Have we participated in this previously?
Yeah, it's been, this would be our 2nd year. Mrs. Dryden emailed me previously about this, and I'll share what I shared with her. You know, I'm interested in contributing and helping contribute toward the longitudinal data that the state is trying to collect, particularly from PK. The most elusive data set is PK through higher ed. What happens from preschool all the way out to college and higher education. It's elusive because there are so many moving parts to trying to capture that. So as an entity, I appreciate contributing to that. Unfortunately, I don't feel like we're getting much out of it quite yet, but maybe it's early and maybe there's more to come. I'm just interested in being a good partner at this moment, and it's not compromising any student data or privacy. All of this is non-disclosable data and cannot be pinned back to individual students. So I just wanted to assure the board of that. So, you know, I just don't know exactly what yet, you know, we may get out of this partnership, but it is the state's attempt to do that.
Okay, and that was you answered my other concern was about the privacy of individuals. So this is an aggregate kind of nondescript. Okay, thank you.
Anything further? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0, no opposition. Is there a motion for the consideration of approval of the ratification of the County of Ventura and Local Education Agencies Shelter Agreement Extension?
I so move for the ratification of the County of Ventura and Local Education Agencies Shelter Agreement Extension.
Second.
Any discussion?
This is already in place, or it was in place at the 3-year agreement. So my only question is, was there a reason why we're approving it now as opposed to earlier in the year since it expired in June?
I don't have a good response for that. I know that as far as I'm concerned, if there were any emergency, we would certainly authorize the use of facilities for staging a shelter, whatever the case might be. But no, I mean, we'll just be more mindful of those timelines in the future.
Was this from them to us or us to them? It was from them to us, right?
Yeah, we were sent this proposal. We were sent this recently, which is why it's appearing at this point.
Yeah, and it was originally enacted in November of 2021 or 2020, which was the 3 years ago. So I think that's why, but they have it set to end, I believe, in June because that's the end of the school year.
Yeah,
So I don't know if they just figure summers, they could come here if they need it because kids aren't here. But with summer school, I feel like the time should, I don't know, but the time lapse was just interesting to me.
Yeah,
So I didn't know if it was intentional.
Yeah, typically those MOUs are just set according to fiscal years. So that's been the effect, but yes, it was initiated by the county.
Anything further? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. No opposition. Is there a motion for the consideration of adoption of the September 2023 board policy revisions for the sections listed?
So move.
Any discussion?
Did anybody second?
I'll second.
There's a couple things we need to make some choices on.
There are, yeah.
One is the use of school facilities. We're going with option 3. That was no cost to the district to any organization. That was BP 1330.
Right, so it's that we wouldn't charge people to use and nonprofits and educators and all of that to use the property. I just wanted to make sure that option 3 also aligned with our current parking lot rental that we do to make sure that that's being recouped or whatever in agreement with option.
It is, and it's mostly a non-issue when it comes to that because they are a for-profit business, not a nonprofit. This only allows us to waive fees for nonprofits, and nonprofits come in a myriad of different forms and purposes. And you always want to, at least it's my position, that you want to retain the opportunity or the right to be able to exact a particular fee if the nonprofit, lends itself to doing that, or if it's such a yes, if it's such an imposition to the district that staff or other things need to be procured in order to provide that service or and parts of the facility.
Board policy 4151, 4251, 4351. Talk about option 2. Do you know what option 2 refers to?
Yeah, that was amended, and there was a mistake on my part. That has more to do with AR 4217.3, that option
I
2,
thought so, right.
and that one is not. That one does not provide an option.
Okay. All right, anything further?
And I guess I'd just like to point out that the board policies that are bulleted towards the end, which were that may actually impact, because we kind of broke them out, which was nice, between minor impact and that have the potential, to impact MESA operations. And it just looked at reviewing the ones that are in that potential impact category, that we don't currently have to change anything we're doing to still satisfy these new or amended board policies. So I just wanted to confirm that.
Yes, that's the case, and we're specifically referencing BP 5131.9 on academic honesty, BP 6154 on homework makeup work, BP 6162.5 student assessment, and board bylaw 9124. In effect, these are upgrades to some language. I know that there's been a lot of attention paid to artificial intelligence by way of academic honesty for sure, homework and such. Beyond that, those are more or less placeholders because the full impact of AI to learning or to any space for that matter is just now starting to be understood. We know that its ready nature makes life less complicated, but there are definite pitfalls and slippery slopes, particularly when it comes to academic honesty. So That said, we've taken some preliminary safeguards on that, but it is a much bigger conversation that we just need to continue to have because it is not an easy issue to deal with across the board. And the rest of them, current practices and or policies, are already very much in alignment with a lot of these proposed changes.
Do we have anything in our current curriculum that addresses particularly, say, the middle school, where they're tasked more with writing papers specifically addressing AI and using AI in their papers that they have to write or in their work they're supposed to do independently?
So this is the irony of it, that AI is an important tool and a powerful tool. In fact, it's one we already use. Paper learning does provide AI. So it is intended to augment and support students, right? And in fact, provide what many tutors would require. So that's one version of it. But when it borders onto academic honesty, all of these are new and interesting gray areas. So I know that recently on the October date, we did have a session, parts of 2 sessions with the adults around how to use AI or orient around AI. And we have some future discussions coming up at those professional learning days as well. I know we've safeguarded and we've outright nullified the use of ChatGPT, for example, on our network, but that's only a small, attempt to be able to deal with and curb the use of AI. So I'm afraid to say it's just a longer conversation, but one that we're starting to have just with staff alone and need to get to the kids more fully.
Yes, I just wanted to bring one more comment up in regards to board policy 3312, which is contracts. It's about the sale of food and beverages. When I read it, it also includes fundraisers. So I just thought that our comments that it doesn't engage, like we do, because fundraisers are included. Option 1 is still what I think is the best fit for that, because it's the, when you write the contract and having it pre-approved and not is the different options. And so we don't need to have all of these contracts with potential vendors go out for public comment in advance. So I don't want option 2. So I think option 1 is still the good fit for that, but it does include fundraisers, which we do sell food and beverages on campus. So I want to make sure that we're covering our, but maybe it's because we don't have a contract.
Well, we as a district, maybe you can clarify, we as a district, to my knowledge, don't.
That's
So
PFO.
that's PFO.
So PFO and the district are 2 separate agencies.
Agreed, but we have no overarching thing that we sell food and beverage for, because it never goes directly, because it always goes to their nonprofit and then only from their nonprofit to us.
That is correct. There was, in years past, there was an option to sell some snacks and things of that nature directly to kids. But since I've been here, that has not been the practice. And for example, there are other districts that employ vending machines, things of that nature, and those would require a contract. We've not engaged in that for either staff or for students at this point.
Anything further? So just to clarify, the options 3 in the BP 1330, there's option 1 in board policy 3312, and option 2 in board policy 3551, and option 2 in AR 4217.3. Is there a motion to approve the adoption for the September 2023 board policy revisions for these sections?
I think we have the motion, but I think are we in favor with those amendments or with those choices?
All right.
Yeah.
Do we need another motion, or is it just?
No, I just wanted to clarify that we're not making any changes, right? It's the options that are included here.
Those are
We're
the ones that were recommended, and it's for the board to accept that recommendation.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Right.
Motion carries 4-0, no opposition. Items for future consideration, the first interim report and the annual reorganizing of the board. Future meetings, Monday, December 12th at 6 p.m.
December 11th.
11, excuse me. December 11, we adjourn at 8:05.
All right, folks.